Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 7 of One Hub Racing. It's Friday evening, and we are back for the prospect tier. And tonight, it could be a very special one indeed. My name is Sam. I am your main commentator for this evening, and joined alongside me is V8 Field, otherwise known as Daniel.
Good evening, Sam, and good evening, everyone here. I hope you are all going to enjoy this Grand Prix. I'm really excited. I love Canada to commentate over, not calendar, but I am really going to enjoy this one.
Yeah, and I'm going to really enjoy this one as well, because Canada is one of my favourite tracks. It's a rather interesting track, Canada is. It's one that most people like, but some people dislike as well, if I'm honest. For you, Daniel, because I know you league race alongside me as well, what is the track like for you?
Well, when it comes to Canada, I'm not too quick. I'm not really quick around any other track. But I also find it really, really easy to get penalties. There's so many places where you can run off if you make a simple mistake and then get a warning for that. So I would expect a lot of these guys to be getting penalties out here today. Other than that, it's a fast-flowing track, and it's actually really fun to drive if you can hook up a lap perfectly.
Yeah, and it is a track that I really do enjoy as well, and I'm actually quite quick around here, so possibly would be good for me this evening. However, this is obviously the prospect tier, not the precision tier. I completely forgot which tier I was in there for a moment. But it looks like we've got 18 drivers in at the moment, and Gus Fring, we talked about this being a really, really important night, and one that could be kind of special for this evening. We could have our first champion of season 16 here in One Hub Racing, and that is Gus Fring, who could be winning today. And there are different I forgot the word. Can you remember the word? Permutations. That's the word that I was looking for. So if Gus wins, like he's done mostly this season, then Jamie and Truth are immediately eliminated. So whether Jamie or Truth finish second, they can no longer win, and Aaron JS must finish at least 7th, but I believe they have said that Aaron is not racing tonight. So, oh my goodness, for Gus, he must be thinking over the moon. He must be over the moon about this. However, for anyone else, everyone would be like, boo, we want a championship fight right to the end. However, if Gus does finish second, then Truth must win to stay in the championship battle. So if Gus does finish second, that doesn't mean he's won the championship, but that does mean that Truth has to win this race. And it's the same interpretations, really. And well, if Gus doesn't score any points, he could still win the championship if Jamie does not win and Truth doesn't get a single point tonight. So Gus at the moment is in a very, very secure position to win the championship.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He has displayed throughout the season that he has been one of the top guys in prospect here, and he rightfully would deserve this championship. All he needs to do is run a clean race and hope that the other guys don't have a strong showing tonight, and then he can be laughing home, spraying the champagne, and celebrating the inaugural prospect tier championship.
Yeah, and of course... It's incredible, really. He's 57 points clear. There's still 4 rounds to go. He's been on the podium every race this season, finishing second in Austria, I believe. Actually, he may have finished third in Austria to Aaron JS, who won that race. So he's the only other winner this season, Aaron JS. However, hopefully we'll see someone different tonight, and hopefully a new winner in One Hub just in general. But Gus Fring has 5 wins to his name. He's won 5 out of 6. He's been on the podium 6 times out of 6. Are we looking for an 100% podium record for Gus, or do you reckon perhaps something may happen today to affect that?
Well, Calendar is a really tricky track to get perfectly, so hopefully he doesn't become a victim of the penalties, because he can really get, I mean, they can rack up around here. You might not notice it at first, you might just get a couple penalties, and then all of a sudden at the end of the race, you are on about 15 seconds. So he just needs to keep that consistent and then stay on, and if he can do that, he can get a podium, certainly. He's displayed that he's got the pace, and he can do it.
Yeah, and obviously Canada being a very tricky track for penalties, but also, it's basically a track full of chicanes, isn't it? If you want to call turn 1 and 2 a chicane, you can do, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different chicanes, 1 hairpin, of course, and it's a very tricky track, Canada, and of course very easy to pick up the penalties. And of course, the famous Wall of Champions turn 13 and turn 14 to finish the lap. 35 laps around this track, but we do need to get through qualifying first. The mandatory 2-stop be interesting because this is supposed to be a 2-stop track in a 50% race. 3 DRS zones, 14 corners, and let's get this one underway.
I cannot wait for qualifying around here, and we got a little bit of rain.
Well, this will be very, very interesting then for all these guys to get around, and I'm wondering if this rain is going to be here for all quali, Daniel. If it is here, do you reckon we could see some wacky predictions here, or do you reckon it's probably going to be a bit more of the same still?
Well, certainly we might see some different setups being run depending on the weather for the race. We could maybe see some drivers running on a wet setup to get a superior qualifying position, but then they might struggle in the Grand Prix, or they might bank on going onto a dry setup, starting further back down the order, maybe a strategy choice, and then pushing hard on the optimal setup. So it will be tricky, and it will be up to the drivers to do that. But I believe, just quickly, we do have one new driver in the league, and it's a Racing Point driver. Wide Load Billy has come into the prospect here, replacing, unfortunately, one of our sponsors, Liam13, who was providing the trophies. He's left the league, and now we've got Wide Load Billy in his position.
Well, yeah, Wide Load Billy will be an interesting one. I think he was here last season in One Hub, in fact. I think he was actually racing in the precision tier last season for the majority of it anyway. But he does return here to One Hub, and it will be very interesting to see how he is, considering he was racing against such people who are in the precision tier right now. And tonight he'll be racing people who have experience in the podium tier, but not many of them have experience in the precision tier. So for Wide Load Billy, I think this could be a really interesting one tonight.
Yeah, well, he's got only a couple races left of the prospect season to actually show his worth and maybe move up the ladder. Of course, he's only got 4 races left in the season to do it, but he's just coming out on his outlap. I believe the furthest driver out on track right now with Cloudy Balloons, and he finally had a good week.
Yeah, he did have a good week, but still didn't really get that podium, did he, that he was wanting. He finished 4th in the end, just off the podium. He did finish in the podium positions in the end, but down to penalties, he didn't get that. However, we will go on board to do a lap around this Canadian circuit here in Montreal as we do the run down to turn 1. Not a long run down from when lights go out. Quite slow through here, it's quite difficult. Ends needs to be careful. Some people do like to go pretty wide out the exit of that corner, trying to get the best exit. Cloudy Balloons obviously has to sit in tight with Ends coming out. Into turn 4 and turn 5 now, the second chicane of this track so far. Taps the wall, hopefully not wind damage. Very difficult through here, tugging the car to keep it in a straight line. Going quite wide through turn 6 and now turn 7. Onto a straight. This would be one of the DRS straights, but because it's obviously raining, we don't have that. And then under the bridge, and there should be a braking point roughly whereabouts it is, and he does break into it. Turn 8 and turn 9 then through here, under the bridge, and under another bridge again, which of course leads on to the hairpin of what is turn 10. Turn 10. So now he'll be doing the climb through turn 11. I've missed the corner, haven't I? So we're actually on the climb down to turn 13 and turn 14, which is of course the famous Wall of Champions. Been victim to champions such as Jack Villeneuve, Damon Hill, I believe, Sebastian Vettel, I think, has been involved in it a couple of times, and of course Michael Schumacher as well, and a few others. But Cloudy Balloons sets the pace at the first lap of the day with a 20.095.
Well, it certainly looked like it was a pretty clean lap from the Red Bull driver. I did see him brush the wall a couple of times on that run though, and we've got some more drivers coming around. But so far it seems like Cloudy Balloon's really in control of the session right now. He's 7/10 clear of Gus Fring, of course the championship leader at the moment. So could this be the ace up Cloudy Balloons' sleeve? Could he have practiced really hard for this one and could put a blinder on us and then finally get that elusive podium and maybe a win in this season?
Well, yeah, and now we've got JB Met going on a lap, and he was called up to the drivers' press conference this weekend, and the question was, after a poor quali, you made up a lot of positions in the race. Good comeback, but what happened in quali? And, well, Jamie simply replied, and I'm sure he replied in kind of a bit of an up and down sort of mood here. Hi there, I was unable to run in quali due to a mechanical issue. Thankfully it was fixed, and then he put brackets sort of to finish the race, so I'm assuming he just had an issue in qualifying, which led to him being so low. And, well, so far Jamie has yet to set a lap, of course. Fourth in the championship then. I forgot about Aaron JS. Fourth in the championship, 103 points gap to the leader. It looks almost impossible now to win the championship, but we've seen the impossible become possible. Let's think back to 2008. Lewis Hamilton getting Glock with 2 corners to go to win the World Championship in Brazil. And of course, we've seen the impossible happen in 2020 with Pierre Gasly winning the Italian Grand Prix. However, Jamie Met, he is on potentially to get 3rd place and could actually catch up to Aaron JS. It is unlikely to catch up to 2nd place, but do you think Jamie has a little bit more to offer, and maybe, perhaps, he can sneak himself another win this season?
Well, certainly he's got it all to do if he really wants to get that 2nd position. It is looking unlikely that he will win the championship based on the fact that he has to win every remaining race and Gus not be in the points. I don't really see that happening, unfortunately, but Jamie Met really does... he can have the potential. He has shown that he has got some pace, like he did in Zandvoort. He was one of the front runners in that race if we look back to round number 1. But he really does have it all to do. I'm going to say it again. He can do it today, and all he's run into the grass in the first sector, and he's not having a good run on this lap at the moment. Not looking too strong on the Mercedes driver. Luckily, they have fixed that mechanical issue that he had in last week's USA Grand Prix. So he is running here today. But up towards the 2nd sector split, I wonder what this time is going to be. I don't know how impressive it will be. Could be a sign of the track drying up and the intermediates not being as strong, but I don't really see that happening. And he's actually backed off on this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just watching Astronaut come across the line to set a 20.6. We've completely forgot him, but Gus at the moment, you said about Cloudy Balloons being on it. Well, Gus obviously is on it because he wants to win that championship. I wonder if Gus has said anything in the drivers' questions of note. It would be interesting to have the words from, well, in my opinion, from Gus, and he has said something, which is pretty good to see. So the first question, did the race go to plan? And he just said pretty much yes, and well, why wouldn't it? You've won the race. I think the plan really is for every driver is to win a race. I can't say any more than that. So pretty obvious question for him to answer there. Which driver were you most happy to overtake tonight? Not 1 but 2. The first was Brummer, who started on pole. That is fair enough. Brummer right now in 5th place, so he's strong again, but miles off Gus Fring at the moment. But obviously that can all change in qualifying. And he had a great start and managed to overtake him, and Gus did have that really good start and probably was helpful. And obviously led to him winning the race last week. And then the second one was Truth. Had an insane battle on the last lap. So that was a really good battle. I do recommend you watch that one. And won it by crossing the finish. And he won it by crossing the finish line ahead of him. However, Gus obviously won it on penalties. But that was a really, really good battle. And I do recommend you to go back and watch that. However, don't watch it right now, watch it after tonight, because you've obviously got the prospect tier and you have every other tier to get through tonight as Alex Lilliart sets his first lap of the day. Is Gazzaman coming towards an end? He is coming towards an end soon. He hasn't invalidated, so we'll stick on board with him right now. And as he comes down to the final 2 corners, turn 13 and turn 14, hugging the wall a little bit as he actually comes into the pit, so never mind. He's obviously backed out of his lap. Zach Jarvis has just started a lap, and you were just about to say something. I could hear you just going, it's like you were about to say something, so go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that Gazzaman, I was going to comment on his season so far. I don't recall his championship position, but he hasn't had the easiest of seasons. There's been a lot of incidents involving Gazman, but you know what? He is one of the quicker guys in this division, so I am hoping that he can get in a clean run and get into the top 5, because he really does deserve it. He works hard to be the tier coordinator, and I don't know if he gets enough appreciation for that. So hopefully he can have a great run here in qualifying and get high up on the grid.
Well, yeah, and Gazaman, I know him quite well, back from Season 14, which was a fun experience, of course, him as my tier coordinator. He does deserve a lot more, well, he doesn't really deserve a lot more appreciation, because he gets a lot of appreciation anyway, of course, but he's a really, really nice guy, Gazaman is. I've spoke to him many times, and, well, yeah, he's a really good guy, so, yeah, that's good for a tier coordinator. However, this season, it's been more of the same, really, for what we've seen from Gazaman. In the midfield, mainly, not really been challenging for wins, maybe not for podiums either, really, but were you expecting maybe more from Gazaman, knowing of his experience in One Hub, of course, being one of the veterans of One Hub racing? Were you really not really surprised about where he is currently right now?
I would have hoped him to be a little bit higher up in the races, really, because he is certainly a quick driver in Prospect here. But again, he has had a lot of incidences, so I do. That is pretty much. I've kind of lost my word there. I've lost my way. But yeah, he's had a lot of run-ins in this season, so maybe that's hindered him quite a bit so far. But definitely, I would expect him to be a bit higher up. Maybe here his luck can change in Canada and he can have a great race, because this track can catch people out. And oh dear, I've just watched him run into the grass on the exit of the hairpin. So this is not a good start to the lap for Gazaman. It will kill his momentum a little bit. I don't think he's got any damage. I will check TAS, which is a brilliant system that's been developed by IGK Ends, currently in the 18th position. So I'll check if he got any damage from that little brush of the wall.
Yeah, and speaking of incidents, or that it's not to do with Gazaman, but just in general, the stewards results have something really to say this week in the prospect here. There was an incident between Stevie Hart and Truth. There'll be a 5-second penalty added on to Truth's time, so that's obviously not good for Truth. He's one of obviously the championship contenders. It looks like it's pretty hard really to say he could be challenging for it, but however, at this point, that is a really damaging moment for his championship hopes, which are slowly slipping away if that was the case. And there's also another incident with Stevie Hart and Majestic, where 10-second time penalty will be added to Majestic's race time from that week. So I don't think that will affect this week, and I'm not sure if that was the last week that was affected on Truths either. So apologies about that, but it looks like Stevie Hart kind of was the man of getting in the incidents last week, and so there's a little bit of a moment between him and a Salty Bear, but I wasn't really looking, so I weren't really aware if there was some sort of issue between those two. Didn't look like it anyway, but it did look perhaps suspicious. Anyway, so we have the McLaren, who got pole position last week, and I believe that was on his debut race as well. GR Brumer, currently down in 10th place, and he's looking to perhaps get pole position again, which Nicky currently holds. So Nicky's had a rather up and down season. He returns to the top tonight. We haven't seen him for the last 2 rounds, of course, as he's been absent, and Brumer overtakes Gus Fring now. So interestingly, this may be a difficult position for Gus, because he has not actually been outside the front row for quite a while, and obviously he has obviously had these battles last week, of course, and previously, but from the start he's never really been off the front row. So do you reckon this could be actually a really interesting one? Say Gus does start like 4th or 5th, for example, or do you just think that perhaps nah, it's fine, he'll still be able to recover and still be able to beat the guys ahead of him?
Well, his championship rivals that have turned up tonight, the other one being Aaron, of course, he hasn't come here tonight. They're in 11th and 12th at the moment, so I wouldn't worry too much if I were Gus, judging by the fact that his 2 rivals are outside the top 10 at the moment, and they all get free choice of tyres, don't forget, with, of course, the wet conditions. So I wouldn't worry too much if I were Gus, and a lot of overtaking opportunities around here at Canada, so I wouldn't worry too much if I were him starting in 4th or 5th off the front row.
Yeah, and obviously this track has kind of some big names who have won this before, so Gus looking to maybe cement his championship and win his first race amongst these big names. Of course, we have people like Cliffy, Odems in here, Onyx, we have Leon, as in Leon Bentley, White Fountain, Dane Star. We have a lot of veterans or who've been here for a long time and people who are known for victories in one-hub racing. And of course, let's not forget Danny MG, who, if he is watching this tonight, obviously possibly not, because he's probably training for esports, but good luck to him. He's in F1 esports now, so yeah, but he is a winner here in Canada last time out here in One Hub Racing. But there are some big names and some names that are popular amongst the One Hub Racing community who have won this track. So Gus looking to join a list of potential One Hub Racing legends for the future and potential league racing legends as well. So a huge task on their back for someone like Gus, because he'll be winning a championship, let alone a race win, to join some elites. And if Gus has seen the list of winners, perhaps he feels a little bit, I don't know, he feels a little bit of pride knowing that perhaps he could be winning amongst some of the top drivers, and not only winning a race but taking a championship with him.
Well, it certainly is quite the prestigious affair to actually win a One Hub race and a championship. He's going to do that this season. He's had a sublime job so far this season. Another winner is Janul, who can also wrap up the championship here tonight in Precision Tier. So make sure you tune into that one later on tonight. Make sure you subscribe as well. But definitely Gus, he's going to have a lot of pride about him with his season so far, and it is one to remember for him.
Well, I think you've got that wrong. I don't think Janul is the guy who could win tonight. I believe BDG Louis is the person you perhaps were referring to. He's 40 points clear, but he's the one who I could at least see anyway. But I don't think it was Janul, because he is only 12 points clear of his second place. However, that is the precision tier, not of course the prospect tier, so that's not our main worry right now. Currently, with 1 minute to go, Nicky is on pole position. Gus Fring is in fourth currently, but he's purple through sector 1. Let's just make sure that is official. It is not official, so perhaps this game not being great. He is up through his time though, and we will see through sector 2 how far up he will be. But Gus right now looking just to set a lap time, just to finish it off, and perhaps maybe get that early pole position that he ever so wants through sector 2. He's down by 4/10, so the track perhaps is not really fitting those intermediate tyres, and perhaps it has something to do with the tyre wear here. So this is looking very good for Nicky right now. Cloudy Balloons has completely missed that corner there, so he's obviously not going to be improving anytime soon. Bruma right now, purple through sector 1. This will be very interesting. Through sector 2 now, and very difficult through there. Can be easy to obviously lock up, easy to spin as well. He's up by 4 attempts here, so it looks like Bruma will be into the 18s if he keeps that delta up like that. Cloudy Balloons though is on a lap as well. He's actually finishing a lap, but obviously Cloudy Balloons has invalidated, so he'll be just looking to get through to starting his final lap. Will he make it is the question. 2, nope, he's not going to make it. He's spun, in fact, in the final corner, I believe. So Cloudy Balloons is not going to make it, and there he is in the wall. What about Bruma? Shouldn't have caused him any hassle. Is he taking pole position? You bet he is. What about Nicky? Nicky has invalidated. That's his lap over. Cloudy Balloons' lap is over. Gus is still on a lap. He is down through sector 1 though, which could be interesting. Anyone up really on their time? We've got a bunch of guys. Jamie up, Storm is up through sector 1, not through sector 2, but Gus Fring right now, he is down. What about sector 2? He's up on his time through sector 2, so Gus right now, not the purple sort of colour that he would like to see, but it's definitely up on his time, which could put him up a position or 2. There's a bit of a gap between Cloudy Balloons, 4 attempts to be exact, so a lot of time to find through turn 13, turn 14 as well. Right behind Jamie Merritt, I believe, not Jamie Merritt, Stevie Hart ahead. Stevie Hart moves up to 15. Gus Fring moves up to second, and only 2 guys, it looks like, who are going to be into the 1 minute 18s. Unless Kingan can do anything about it, Apex Road could do anything about it, and they cannot unless Alex Lilliard or Jamie Merritt could do something about it. Jamie's invalidated. Ends has got wing damage. Oh, and that is Storm, I believe. Not Storm. Yeah, it's one of them. Kingen going very slowly into the pits, but that would have been awkward. But right now we have the same front row as last week, I believe. Gus Fring takes second place, and Bruma gets another pole position. The new driver, Wilo Billy, returning to One Up Racing, slots right in the midfield in 10th place. This is going to be a really, really good race ahead.
Yeah, Bruma was almost untouchable in qualifying, almost 3 full tenths ahead of Gus, who really found a lot of time in that final sector, considering he was down and only just up through sector 2. So he found so much today. Might have got a little bit of slipstream of, I believe, Stevie Hart and Kingen actually on their runs as well. So that could have helped him on that one. But second place was all he could manage. I don't know who we're waiting for. I believe it is Storm, who is in the pit lane right now, so we might just have to wait for the clock to run down and then we can get going.
Yeah, but it gives us time to have a look at something. The team's press conference, of course, 2 teams that were called up really were Mercedes and, well, looking at Mercedes qualifying from Jamie outside the top 10. Oh, it could be a bit slouchy here. But Mercedes says, are you worried about your drivers making practice starts the right places on the track? So this must have been somewhere in one hub. I didn't know who it may have been, but someone's obviously made a practice start on track in the wrong place, and maybe it's caused a bit of controversy, but I didn't see it. It's not in this tier, so I don't know who or where it's been, but yeah, someone has obviously done something a bit silly. But McLaren's question, looking forward to fitting the Mercedes engine in the car, so obviously that's referring to the next game. However, we have Bruma, who has pole position for the second week running. Gus Fring on the front row again. Nicky third. Cloudy Balloons in 4th place. Good qualifying from him. Rogan 5th. Zach in 6th. King in 7th. Truth in 8th. Astronaut in 9th. And Wilo Billy. And if you're curious, here are the ones outside the top 10. It would have been a little bit more interesting to show, of course. But, of course, there will be no alternate strategy or no people starting on the mediums. Well, people can start on whatever tyre they want. For any position, so a little less of a factor of perhaps, you know, surprise maybe, or differing strategies, but I guess we'll find out in the race, because we can see differing strategies up and down the grid, and I will be interested to see what tyres people start on and what tyres people finish on. This is a track that's supposed to have soft, medium, I believe, or soft, medium, I think you can do around this track, but it's mainly soft, medium. We have our hot and cold people in this tier. Gus, of course, hot. I'm pretty sure he is absolutely burning, probably 1,000 degrees. And VTR Storm, who is now VSMT Storm. So a lot of name changes there, really. But he is cold right now, and I think it's pretty explanatory. He had a pretty poor week last week, not a week that he would have wanted. But anyway, here are the perimeters once again. Of course, we can have our permutation. We can have a champion here crowned tonight, and Gus basically has to finish ahead of his 2 rivals to win the championship. Because of course Aaron is not here tonight, unfortunately for him, for whatever circumstance. But Gus basically has to finish ahead of his 2 rivals, and hey ho, he is definitely doing that. In second place right now. His closest rival, Jamie Met, is in 12th. Sorry, his closest rival right now, Truth, is in 8th. And then Jamie Met in 12th. And Jamie has to win the race in any way or any circumstance to stay in this championship fight. So it's going to be a very difficult one. But Bruma right now has the pole sitting moment at the moment. He had it last week. Wasn't able to convert into a win. Do you think Bruma perhaps is going to take his first win in One Hub Racing tonight?
Well, he certainly has got the pace. Just going back to the team interview, it said that McLaren was struggling in most tiers. They're not referring to Prospect, because 2 consecutive poles for the McLaren man, Bruma himself. He definitely has got the know-how to do well in this track. Judging by his pole lap being 3 tenths almost clear of Gus, but he might respect that the championship fight is going on, and he'll let Gus by. If Gus takes the win, then Aaron is eliminated. If he doesn't take it, then Aaron is still within a chance, but he'll be a lot further away from the fight right now. Jamie met with it all to do. He has to win, and Gus can't get point. If Goss gets a single point for the rest of the races, he is eliminated. But just quickly, before we get underway, I want to mention Next Level Racing for the Going Gets Tough Awards in One Hub. I have to say it every week. And if you want to follow them on Twitter, it is Next LVL Racing. They are providing us with a sim racing cockpit or a wheel stand for the Going Gets Tough awarded driver. If you turn up to all your races, do all your interviews, and finish outside the top 3 in the championship, you can be involved with a chance. So make sure you go over to the One Hub website, that is onehubracing.com, and read more about that, or follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, and of course, One Hub has Instagram as well, so be sure to follow them on there as well, which you can probably find links to Next Level Racing as well. And of course, you have Liam13, who of course has a Twitch channel, which is Liam13TTV. However, he has moved over also to Facebook Live, which I believe is Liam13 as well. However, we will get underway for this race any second now. 5 red lights. It's lights out and we get underway. Lot of wheel spin all around, and Gus has got a better start than Bruma. He's to the outside though, and on the inside Bruma has it, and Bruma takes the lead. Round the outside is one of the Ferraris, actually on Cloudy Balloons here. I'm a bit confused because there's a Ferrari down in 7th. But it looks like Cloudy Balloons has slotted into 3rd, and one of them has gone back. Nicky, what on earth has happened to Nicky? It says he's up and down, and here we go again with all this. However, we'll have to deal with it just for now, but Bruma leads this race early on. Gus Fring in 2nd. Cloudy Balloons has made a good start into 3rd place.
Yeah, he managed Nicky, but now coming through the 2nd sector was a bit of carnage further up behind between Stevie Hart and Alex Ilya, actually spinning off the line, so that was not going to help them. Wide Billy coming under a bit of pressure from Majestic. He's now going to slip up the inside into the hairpin. There might have been a little bit of a wheel banging there, but Majestic nudges his way by, and there's more contact further throughout the field.
Yeah, and Majestic moving up to 11th, while Billy losing place to 12th. He's not had the best of starts. Jamie Metz had a good start, but look at the strategies that we've completely missed out. There's a lot of interesting ones, and I believe I've just seen a car just get past at turn 13, turn 14. We could be looking at 3 wide into turn 1. Here we go. Astronauty down the inside. Is he going to get both? He's got to get through turn 2 as well. But I think the Alpha Tauri of Apex Rogue's got him. No, he doesn't. Astronauty gets the better exit. He's got the corner and he's up to 7th place. That was brilliant from Astronauty. He came from nowhere and has picked off 2 places, and that is not good news for the Renault in 9th as he moves down a further position, which does not help him in his championship bid, perhaps, if he can stick with Gus.
Well, tantalising move from Astronaut. He puts him up into 7th position. Truth NRP trying to make a move on Rogue. He has to go onto the run-up and pretty much cut the entire corner. That could leave him vulnerable to Jamie Met, fighting for 3rd in the championship between those two. He's not going to send a move up the inside. They're all locking up through the corner. You can see the tyre tracks as they lock up through there, which is a nice feature that Codemasters have included. But I don't think Astronauty is done here, because he is closing up to the back of Kingan, who might be defenseless coming to turn number 1 through the turn 13 and 14 chicane. Look at the run that Astronauty has, and now using the slipstream. He hasn't not going to use any of the ERS, but now into the braking zone. He's not going to send a move. It's only lap number 3. Just be a little bit patient and everything will work out.
Yeah, you've got to be patient. However, Kingan, technically speaking, should be slower on those medium tyres. It's an interesting strategy variation. You've got a bunch of guys on the mediums, a bunch of guys on the softs, and I believe someone's headed off somewhere. That would be Majestic, and I believe Billy's had something as well. No. Actually, Majestic's out of this race, so Majestic out of this race, the first guy out of this race, and we have a virtual safety car. So after all that action and all that talk about Astronauty, perhaps now this is the time for him to soothe him down a little bit. Like you said, perhaps just be patient. But I wonder if someone like Bruma or Gus will get that first perhaps pit stop out the way. Well, it wouldn't be the case now since we're back underway racing, it looks like. So never mind. There's yellow flags through sector 2. That would be just Majestic parking up, but a bunch of guys, I believe, did choose to pit there, or pit on the first lap at least, up with Gaza, Stevie Hart and Alex Lilliart. And look at that, Astronauty making up another move. So I said about this, Astronauty is making up the moves, and he's up to 6th place now, and he's looking very strong, but he needs to catch up to Zach Jarvis, who's in 5th place, almost into the back goes King in there. He needs to be careful not to go into the back of Astronauty, of course. But looking at this, further back, Truth looking to make up some places. He's stuck behind Apex Rogue at the moment, and he's lost a bit of time out there, so not very good there for Truth. But he has had a decent start, lost 1 position, but he's not exactly lost too much pace.
Yeah, just looking at the front, we've got a little bit of a concertina effect. They're all coming to the same part of the circuit, and now only 4/10, and I believe that might be Astronauty around out the chicane. He's lost both of his end plates, and unfortunately something's happened there, so he must have lost it on exit, or they could contact with another driver. But all we know right now is that he, unfortunately, missing both end plates. He's gonna have to pit with that, and that is heartbreaking considering he had an amazing start to this Grand Prix.
Yeah, and look at Cloudy Balloons right now, looking very close. I feel bad for Astronauty, but Cloudy Balloons, he is closing on Gus. Is he going to try and send it down to turn 1? He was definitely thinking about it, but I don't think he's going to go for it. He's gone slightly wide out of turn 2, perhaps trying to get a better exit. Has not worked, and he's lost a little bit of time, but he's running superbly at the moment, considering he's on those medium tyres, which are supposed to be slower than the softs right now. So Cloudy Balloons keeps up the pace like this, he could be on for a really, really good evening.
Absolutely, but Gus Fring, with the DRS on Broomer, was able to defend, and now he's only 2.5 tenths back from the McLaren car, so we could see it scrap for the lead coming up here, as now just tucking into the slipstream. He hardly used any of his overtake. Could he maybe send it into the hairpin? He's certainly looking for it, just letting him know he's there. He moved to the right just to say hello there, I am here to attack. But now on exit, he's got a great run on Broomer. This could be the move for the lead, Sam.
Yeah, and definitely we will document it here. Look at Broomer going to the inside. I don't think Gus cares. He's gone to the outside, turning into the corner, and he's got it before the corner's done. We've also got Nicky behind, and Cloudy Balloons sending it to the inside. That was awkward through there. Nicky had to lock up to get out the way, but Cloudy Balloons keeping that 3rd place just about there. But Nicky is pressing on Cloudy after I believe Cloudy did make a little bit of a mistake out the hairpin, but he is struggling on those medium tyres to keep with the guys ahead, and perhaps he's over pushing them a little bit.
Yeah, well, now he's slipped out of the DRS range of Broomer. He might just try and sneak back into it, but this could leave him at the mercy of Nicky. And we've actually lost Stevie Hart from this race at the hairpin. Another safety car, virtual safety car, sorry, coming out here. And has he retired on track? I think he's lost his wheel somewhere there.
Yeah, I think he's just maybe done the exit of turn 11 a bit wrong. I suppose, really, because he's obviously crashed it there. Perhaps he's got too early on the throttle, and that's caused him to spin into the wall. And oh, that's a bit of a nasty bump there. So really, that's not what he would have wanted. I'm interested to see when Gus, Broomer, etc. decide to pit in this race. I don't know if they'll pit now, would they? Well, Gus hasn't, and Broomer hasn't, and I wouldn't expect anyone else to, but I do know that the softs do not go long in this race, and it is a 2-stop race in general. It's a mandatory 2-stop in one hub, but this race is definitely a 2-stop race in itself. Zach Jarvis deciding to pit, so someone on the softs did decide to get their first pit stop out the way, and he's opted the hards. So interestingly for Zach, I think he's perhaps trying a soft strategy, perhaps.
Yeah, I might have gone for the soft medium, and Cloudy Balloons with a big mistake now coming out of the heavy traction zone. That's going to open the door for Nicky on the run up to one of the many chicanes around here, and he's got by on Cloudy Balloons for 3rd position. Wide Low Billy going to give Nicky some DRS actually. If Wide Low Billy chooses to stay in the way, which he does, so Nicky actually going to be given a little bit of a saving grace. Could also allow for him to catch up to the McLaren man of Broomer, but it was a well worked move, an opportunity spotted by Nicky, and he went for it.
Yeah, and Nicky's now getting away from Cloudy. Cloudy on those mediums seems to be quite far off the pace in this race. Nicky behind. This has benefited him though. He's closed in to 5 tenths here. So clearly Nicky could be on the pace and he'll have DRS throughout all this lap. Could he perhaps overtake Bruma? But look, just look at Gus. He's 2 seconds clear basically of Bruma in second place. So really, Gus is just so far ahead. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. That is a Ferrari of Astronauty. Has he hit the wall again? Yes, he has. He's done the exact same thing as he did last time. Frankly, no damage, which is a good thing. But unfortunately for Astronauty, he's not had the race he would have wanted.
No, it started off so well. He was white hot on the pace, and then it all unravelled for him after that first initial mistake or bit of contact that we might not have seen, and then that unfortunately has really just killed his momentum for this Grand Prix. Mistake in the same place, and it is so unfortunate for him. But now I think we could see a move being shaped up for P2 at the moment. We've got yellow flags through sector 3. I believe that's Astronauty again now, but here comes Nicky. We've got a virtual safety car again.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Nicky of all people. He was closing, and well, he decides to stay out. But Bruma and Gus decide to go in. So, interesting strategy there for the soft runners. Making their first stop of 2, and they're making it under the virtual safety car. So they kind of get away with this. However, looking at the change of tyres, we've got mediums on Gus, softs on Bruma, and softs also, actually no, not softs, well yeah, softs on Truth, and mediums on Apex Rose. So a lot of different strategies here, doing the soft, medium. Bruma is perhaps thinking about, and Gus is thinking about the soft, medium, soft, or soft, medium, medium.
Yeah, but now pitting under the virtual safety car. It was already a short run in the pit. The exit actually cuts out the entirety of turn number 1 and a bit of turn number 2. Now that has made the gap between Gus and Cloudy 10.7 seconds at the moment. So it's going to be 11.6 to Nicky. That'll leave them about 5 seconds off once they come into the pit of Gus. So it was smart to pit under the virtual safety car. If I were Nicky, I would have definitely pitted because those tyres are going to begin to go off now. So that could leave him at the mercy of Cloudy Balloons. He's just tucked into the DRS, and now Nicky comes into the pit. Maybe a lap too late though.
Yeah, maybe he is a lap too late. He heads into the pits. However, Gus Fring is coming on those medium tyres. I'm interested to see how Bruma does on the new soft tyres that he has. He's come in and slotted 2 seconds behind Gus Fring like he was before. However, he should be closing on those soft tyres to Gus, but it looks like Gus is slightly getting away, up and down a little bit at the moment. But definitely no issues. Have we seen Jamie have a little bit of an issue? I saw his Delta completely go up and up and up. That may be just because of Nicky coming out. But he slotted in out just behind IGK ends in 4th place. So this will be an interesting one. And like you said, look how much this has compromised Nicky a little bit. Well, 5 seconds now behind Bruma. And beforehand, he was about 5 tenths. So he's lost about 5 seconds of time simply because of that pit stop. So I'm sorry, that virtual safety car. So Nicky's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get back.
Well, on the bright side for the Ferrari driver, we've got some clear air ahead of him. He's got no cars up until Bruma, 4 seconds up the road from him, who is closing on Gus. It's now just under 1.5 seconds between the Alfa Romeo, the championship leader, and the hot prospect in the prospect tier, Bruma. He took pole position, and now he's going to exhibit this pace on the softs. But now, fastest lap coming up for the both of them, and it has been stolen away by GR Bruma, now almost in the DRS of Gus Fring. This could be an interesting fight. It's going to be mediums against softs.
Yeah, I think Bruma, though, he needs to get by as soon as he's got the door there to open. If he doesn't, then we could see Gus be winning a race again. I believe we've seen it earlier this season where I can't exactly remember who it was, but they didn't use the chance to get by and stuck under too long, and well, it was all over. And I believe Gus went on to win that race as well. So really, in this situation, once the door opens, you must take it immediately.
Yeah, well, it is the great Ayrton Senna, the late great Ayrton Senna, that said, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. So that might be a quote to live by. It certainly is a quote to live by from Truth NRP. He moves past the fourth man in fourth place in the championship, Jamie Met, for sixth position. So a great drive from Truth NRP today, but unfortunately, if Gus wins, it isn't simply not enough. Sixth position won't be enough to keep him in the championship fight. So it is looking a bit bleak for the Renault car, but he's just got to get his head down and try his absolute hardest.
Yeah, and Kingen is the next one on in a battle with Apex Rogue. Of course, Jamie, look how much time he's lost there on the medium tyres compared to the fresh softs. I was expecting it, but he's dropped back quite considerably. Bruma has not closed in significantly on Gus, so interestingly in that battle is that Gus is still sticking ahead by quite a fair margin. The clouds are building up here in Canada. I'm just wondering now if perhaps there is a chance we will see some rain, maybe in about 10 to 15 minutes perhaps, or do you reckon we've still got a full dry session?
Well, that might be an explanation as to why Bruma would go onto the soft tyres, because why wouldn't you? If you've got rain coming in a matter of minutes, you want to get as much pace out as you can. But I don't know, it was pretty much almost clear blue skies before the session started, we can see from the pit lane. But now they really have formed, and they're looking a bit heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of laps we start to see some droplets of water on the camera.
I'll tell you something now, people have kept it clean here tonight. I've just got a bit of a glitch with the task system. I was just about to say people have kept it clean, but Cloudy Balloons is in the lead. Wait, oh yeah, Cloudy Balloons is in the lead. I completely forgot about him being in the lead. It's because I was looking at the task system. I was invested by it. However, we have Apex Rogue closing in on Jamie Met. Jamie's still yet to set a lap, and interestingly for Bruma, he has a 3-second time penalty, and the guys ahead of him do not. Gus is one away, but everyone's been relatively clean in terms of penalties in this race. More clean than what I would have thought, but, well, it's an interesting one. I think if Gus gets a penalty, this could play this could play in Cloudy's hands, but if it rains now, Cloudy is in big trouble.
Yeah, he's got to make 2 pit stops still in this race, so if it begins to rain, he goes on the intermediates and then they all concertina up together. It will be tricky for him to actually gain traction in this race. Meanwhile, APX Rogue going to move by Jamie Met with the DRS. Pretty easy move for him there. This could open the door for Kingen as well, who's blitzing it down the straight now into the chicane. They're going to run a bit side by side here. Jamie backs off, but Kingen moving up the position. That wouldn't have been the most easy move to make for him, and now he's going to be on the back of APX Rogue here. Jamie Met already slipping back, his tyres almost going off the cliff here, and Kingen picks up a 3-second time penalty and all that.
Yeah, and Jamie Met is just falling back so much at the moment. I don't know if that's down to his tyres being old or he's got some sort of wind damage, but Cloudy is dropped off a lot as well. I think this could be an interesting one, because I think now is probably the time for rain if you are someone like Bruma, but the problem with Bruma is look how far he's dropped off on those soft tyres. Gus has amazing pace on the medium tyres, and the softs have just gone off so quickly. It's dark now, and it looks like perhaps we could be looking at some rain in the near future. Cloudy pits now, so he gets 1 pit stop out the way. Now here'll be the decisive moment. If he goes onto the softs, that gives us more reason to believe. He does go on softs, so it gives us more reason to believe that perhaps we have got rain coming. Look how much time this has cost Cloudy though. He's now down to 4th. Not gonna lie, he wasn't far from losing position to Truth as well. Nicky in 3rd place right now, 2 seconds off Bruma. He would like it to stay dry for a few more laps because he's actually closing in on Bruma, and if he does close in enough, perhaps DRS will open and perhaps the opportunity will be there to take.
Absolutely, but the clouds keep getting heavier, and it really does beg the question, when will this rain hit? And I think I'm seeing, unless my eyes are playing tricks on me, I'm seeing a little bit of rain.
You are not wrong, I'm seeing a little bit of rain too. Kingen trying to keep the car on the track, maybe being a little bit distracted by it, but right now we have got some rain coming down, so could this be a blessing in disguise, really, for Bruma, who, as I was saying about Nicky and everything, was going to close in considerably, it looks like. He's now 1.1 seconds off. Nicky just wants it to stay dry for now. Otherwise, of course, Bruma's been saved. He's now in a DRS territory. Didn't pick it up because he wasn't in within a second last time out. But it looks like Nicky will have DRS throughout the next lap if it doesn't rain as heavy. And he's closing considerably. Bruma's tyres are going off like a cliff. And Gus is just gaining and gaining and gaining. 4 seconds clear now of Bruma in second. And they've all made one stop. They've only got to make one more stop. And well, this could be a really interesting battle. Nicky in third place right now. 5 tenths off Bruma in second place, and Gus leading the way, of course. 4 seconds clear. Bruma in second on the soft tyres. Nicky in third. Still DRS is enabled, so Nicky right now will be able to potentially get a move going into the final 2 corners. Whether he will do, I'm not sure though. As he goes onto the straight, he'll have DRS. He's very close. He's got a good exit as well, Nicky has. Overtake on to the inside, surely to Bruma. Yes, here we go. And before the corner's even over, Nicky up to second place. And if DRS says disabled right now, then Bruma is in big trouble.
Well, the same detection zone for the start-finish straight as the back straight, so that has helped Nicky. It actually gave him DRS for the start-finish straight, and now he's streaked away almost 8 tenths. He's almost out of the DRS range. Nicky is Bruma here, so he's really struggling on these tyres, and the track just doesn't look wet enough for the intermediates at the moment. So really, he's not in a good position. He's already lost the DRS. You can see him just tiptoeing around the circuit, but now it definitely looks like we could see in the next couple of laps drivers begin to file into the pit and strap on a set of intermediates.
Well, yeah, interestingly though, Nicky is flying at the moment. He's just gained around 4 tenths, maybe 5 or 6 tenths on Gus at the last lap, and he's obviously gained 2 seconds from Bruma. He is flying. He is flying on those medium tyres at this current point. I wonder, because we're obviously going to see possibly a little bit more rain, but it looks like it's not too bad or too heavy right now, so it could be a couple of laps till we see that. I'm wondering if Zach Jarvis has had probably the best strategy going on to the hards perhaps. If it does stay the same, he could have made up a really good chunk, a really big chunk of positions. I believe he fell to the back of the grid, but he's up into 8th. He's doing decent right now. Gazaman as well has had a decent race up to 10th place, but he'll be fighting ends at this current point. And looking at Apex Rogue, he's very close to Kingan. This could be a move that has already been done by Kingan. So Kingan up to 6th, Apex Rogue down to 7th. What about IGK Ends? He's getting very close to Gazaman, just slotting in behind and probably just maximising his exit. And oh boy, has he maximised the exit. DRS open, maybe hesitated a little bit, thinking he was going too fast into the back of Gazaman. To the inside though, here goes IGK Ends. Oh, and he's kept it. He's kept it into the next corner. Oh, and Gazaman. Oh, when we talk about incidents at the start, there's another one. I think that'll be just more of a racing incident. Nothing really Ends could do. Very, very tight. And well, Gaza was spinning half on a half spin throughout that second corner anyway. He's fell back further. Kingan has lost a lot of time to Apex Rogue. He's got a little bit of wing damage as well, so that's not what he would like to see coming into the final few laps. But obviously, we'll be looking to get on to... Oh, and Apex Rogue has a little bit of damage as well. So these two have had a really big excursion with each other, and perhaps both touched the wall. And I think there's both on that right-hand side as well. There goes Apex Rogue into the pits, and there goes Kingan into the pits as well. We also have Storm who's spinning, so perhaps we could be ready to see intermediate tyres. And, well, looking on board with Truth, we are definitely getting close, because look how slow he's taking everything.
Yeah, 10 lap olds, soft tyres really not going to help him. APX Rogue has gambled and gone on to the intermediates. We'll see how he does, but I definitely think that in the next coming lap, if it's not lap 21 and DRS is disabled and we don't see drivers on the intermediates, I don't know if we'll see them at all. But this rain just seems to be getting heavier and heavier. But it could just be a passing rain and it will clear up in a couple of laps' time, like in Germany 2018 that comes to mind. But APX Rogue not seemingly having as much pace as he would have. He does have to get a little bit of temperature into the tyres, but Kingen has strapped on the soft and he's already closing up to the back of him, so I just don't think that it's enough for the intermediates. Here comes Bruma into the pit lane as well. What tyres is the McLaren man going to go on to? He's going to strap on a set of the intermediates, so we're definitely seeing some drivers giving up on their tyres. They think it's not worth trying to stretch these out anymore. I've just got to go for it.
Well, this is interesting actually though, because let's not forget Gus is still out on those medium tyres, and this could be a big race changing moment really. If Bruma could really find pace in those intermediates, we'll just watch on board with him. Oh, it seems difficult. We have a Williams in the wall. Don't give a safety car or virtual safety car please, because otherwise that ruins all our fun. But looking at Bruma, he seems like he's got a lot more pace now than Gus. As I say that, he's struggling a little bit out of the corners, but he seems to be on the throttle much more clearer. He seems to be much more confident than what Gus is at the moment. But how big is the gap, and how much will Gus have to depend on overtake to get the job done, as he now is just slowing? And here he comes into the pits then. Gus Fring, our race leader, into the pits. 24 seconds is the gap he needs. Nicky into the pits. Is Cloudy going into there too? Yes, he is. So here we go, the crossover point. DRS disable then. Here we go. Let's see where everyone comes in, where everyone comes out. Well, it looks like Gus has got out quite considerably. Of course, we have Nicky there. He will be one of the late stoppers. But here we go then. Bruma coming to the line now. This is going to be quite close. Maybe. Has Nicky taken the lead? Nicky has taken the lead. Well, how has that happened then? Nicky is in the lead of this race by 3 seconds over Gus. I'm a little confused. Has something happened? I don't actually know.
I'm trying to find out. He had a really slow stop. Could it have been a salty bear coming into the pit? I'm looking on the race director right now, and it says a salty bear came in. He got a wing change, and Gus and Gus had an 8.4 second stop, and Nicky had a 2.5 second stop. So that basically gave him the lead, and now Gus on the back foot a little bit here. He's got quite a sizable gap to Bruma at the moment behind. Wide Mobility out of the race in the pit lane, but Nicky now leading the Grand Prix, and he looks strong in the wet conditions as we saw earlier, and now he could be a favourite to win the Grand Prix.
Well then. Would we have thought of that one then? And, well, you know, I'm sure Gus will have some words with Salty Bear after this race. He'll be absolutely fuming about this. Luckily, he sticks on to the podium still, of course. I say luckily, because that could have gone a whole lot worse for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's got traffic behind him coming out. That's Kingen, who is a lap down. Oh, he's almost in the wall there himself. Gus losing the car, but he doesn't want to lose that 100% record when it comes to podiums. He has already lost it in terms of wins in Austria, of course. Aaron JS, who took the victory there. But Nicky at the moment is looking very comfortable to win this race. Looking at the dashboard, does Nicky have any penalties? No, he does not. In fact, he has less warnings than Gus as well. Nicky has 1, Gus has 2. So Gus is more likely to get a penalty than Nicky as well. There's no real battles going on in the track, but I tell you something now, Nicky will be absolutely delighted with his fortunes here, as he's now 2.9, almost 3 seconds clear of the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, Gus really isn't finding any time, but with the permutations, if he takes second position, Jamie's out, Truth needs the win, and right now, Truth in fifth position, quite a ways off of Cloudy Balloons, looking unlikely that the Renault car will take the win today, so this could be in the favour of Gus no matter what. He doesn't need the win to take the championship. There are other permutations that do give him the win. But Bruma is actually beginning to catch Gus. 1.5, just under 2 seconds between them two. It was about 3 seconds at the start of the intermediate phase. So could we see Bruma bring the fight to the championship leader?
Well, I'll tell you something now. Who's got the fastest lap? That'll be Bruma. So Gus actually needs to win this race to win the championship, I believe. Of course, it'd be a 75-point gap, which will basically mean that Gus needs a singular point to win the championship. That's quite incredible, isn't it? A singular point will depend on whether the Alfa Romeo driver will win the championship next time out. However, anything can still happen. Nicky can still get a penalty. Nicky can still get damage in this race. Let's not forget, damage is a frequent factor, and in the rain makes it ever so more possible with that. However, Gus right now is doing brilliantly at the moment, trying to catch up with Nicky. Closed a little bit, but not that much. Bruma's closed a little bit as well, but Gus right now still looking good for his 100% podium record and looking really good for the championship either this week or next week.
Yeah, absolutely. The closest gap that we're seeing on track at the moment is between Jamie Met and Enns at the moment. And I actually believe Jamie Met's only made one pit stop in this Grand Prix, so that could be his race over, of course. With one hub, you have to make 2 pit stops, and otherwise you'll be disqualified. It's a 2-stop rule. So really could be curtains for the championship hunt for Jamie Met at the moment. He's still got Enns ahead of him, so he can still have some fun in the race, and he's still got the fight for 3rd position going on with Truth at the moment. The man running in 5th position. Bruma, though, is just catching up. They both seem to be catching the race leader Nicky at the moment.
Yeah, I wonder if Nicky's just taking a tad bit of a break off, perhaps. I'm sure he hasn't got wing damage or anything. I'm hoping he hasn't anyway. He's probably just taking a little bit of a relaxation. He knows he's well far ahead of any challenges behind. Perhaps he just wants to relax a little bit and maybe not get a penalty or another warning, and perhaps he's just taking it a little bit easy right now. But Bruma is closing to Gus, so we could be seeing him close in further to where it could be more of a battle, and whether a slipstream will pay dividends to him. We've got Kingen, who was close to Alex Lilliart. He's no longer that close to Alex Lilliart, frankly, but yeah, the gap seems to be closing. It seems to be fluctuating up and down each lap. It seems to be going from 2.4 to 2.7 back to 2.4 again. So Nicky is looking fair comfortable at the moment. However, we do have the teammate of Gus Fring, a Salty Bear, in the way. Of course, these cars now ghost. So so now Nicky should be able to get by nice and easy. However, those cars can be kind of a little bit of a pain, as we see with Nicky there. I thought he was going to go into a little bit of a half spin there, but he didn't. He's lost a little bit of time though there, and I guess it's down to Gus really pushing. But I say he's really pushing. He's barely using his overtake. His overtake's on 100%, so his ERS is definitely fully full right now. He's not rushing at the moment, just trying to close that gap until an overtaking position is needed. So right now, Nicky leads this race, Gus in 2nd and Bruma in 3rd.
Yeah, well, both Nicky and Gus were pretty much not using any ERS for that for a couple of laps there, but Nicky has had to use some energy to keep the gap at a solid 2 seconds. That has worked for him. Gus did use a little bit in response, but Bruma at the moment really struggling with his overtake mode. We got yellow flags through sector 2. Is that a Renault car? No, that's a Williams of, I believe, Kingen going off there. He's not had a good day at the office, but Bruma later on in the Grand Prix will begin to struggle against his guys once they begin to use their energy, because at Canada, when you're spending a lot of the time flat out, it is hard to charge the battery, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and well, in the rain, it's a little bit more easier than in the dry, of course, as you are braking a lot more early and braking a lot more just in general. But well, like you said, a lot of these corners still tend to be quite short braking zones, and you're on the throttle quite often. APX Rogue has retired in the pit lane. Was that down to him not making a second stop, or has he just retired because he's got wing damage and maybe he just gave up? I wonder. Who knows? But APX Rogue out of this race. He has retired in the pit lane, so we shouldn't see any safety car or VSC, which is a fortune. But oh, it's not really a fortune, as Bruma almost losing the car. But yeah, personally, I would like to see a safety car right now. Pretty sure we all would like to see a safety car right now, because right now there's no real battles going on around the track. Gus continues to close on Nicky, and you can see there with the wheel spin, he is pushing. He is looking to push to close into that Ferrari, which you can just about see in the distance, just ahead of the Alfa Romeo. And look at him just trying to close as much as he can. And on these intermediates, let's just see him through the exit here. Let's see how early he gets on the throttle. Nice and early, nice and clear as well. No wheel spin really from Gus Fring, as he looks to close in and try and take his 6th win of the season. And oh my goodness, the commentator's curse strikes again. He looks to go and make his another win, and he gets an instant penalty from that saying.
Well, that could plague him later on in the Grand Prix. His 3rd warning makes up his 1st penalty, and Bruma and Nicky don't have any penalties. I do apologise. Bruma does have a penalty. He's got 3 seconds onto his race time, but Nicky only got 1 warning in this Grand Prix that he got back in lap 21 when the intermediate phase started. So he still has 1 warning to actually flaunt around this circuit. Wouldn't do it around now, because there still can be mistakes later on that could plague him, and if he wants to use the warning now. But of course, 2.3 seconds, I wouldn't have to worry about pushing for him at the moment, as Gus with a big oversteering moment out of turn number 3. That leaves him kind of with his tail in between his legs, and now Bruma beginning to catch up to him just a tad, but still they're all spacing out at the moment. Not the most exciting race, if I can say that.
Yeah, and Gus really trying to push to catch up. It's not working. I do believe this will be Nicky's 1st win in One Hub Racing, if he does go on to win in 7 laps time. Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? I wonder what he would have to say in the post-race interview, if he has done that, of course. But I'm sure he'd be chuffed with a victory. But Gus seeming to close in a little bit more, 1.9 seconds now. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see a battle for the lead again between Gus and someone. However, again, it just seems to be fluctuating up and down a little bit. It's going down, but it's not exactly going down in the rapid sensation, because right now he's now going between 2.1 and 1.9 seconds. It seems to be on the straights Nicky is quicker than Gus, but in the corners Gus is quicker than Nicky.
Yeah, it's a bit like a short yo-yo, that it's getting closer and then it's spreading out and then it's getting closer again, and we're not seeing too much inroads coming in from Gus. But then again, he is now beginning to catch up just a little bit. Still neither of them using much overtake. Gus not going to push for the time being. He still has a number of laps left to actually get towards Nicky. But if I were Gus, I would start to push and try and make up a 3-second gap later on, just so that he has that safety and comfortability to actually win the Grand Prix. Because at the moment, you've got to make up the time to Nicky. He's got to overtake Nicky, and then he's got to get 3 seconds on him. So hopefully he's not going to leave it too late, and he will begin to charge.
We haven't seen many penalties for Gus this season. There's not many races we've seen him get penalties. This is probably the first in a while that I've seen him get penalties. I didn't see him get a penalty at USA either, which was quite impressive, since that track is so easy to get a warning in general. But, well, interestingly, he gets a penalty this week, and it was this week that he was kind of a little bit under pressure for the win. Well, in now circumstances, now that Nicky was ahead. And perhaps that is some sort of weakness we may have kind of discovered with Gus. Perhaps he doesn't really like it when he's not winning the race and maybe over pushes the car a bit too much. Maybe not, could be wrong. I don't want to obviously interpret simple things that may have discovered, but of course, at the end of the day, like, you know, it's up to Gus to say whether this is a weakness or not. However, he still seems to be closing on Nicky, but still, again, like I said, like you said, it's like a yo-yo right now. It seems to be going up and down and just doesn't get closer, but doesn't exactly get further away. So Gus is just closing slowly, but he's not closing considerably the way he would have wanted.
And one driver beginning to kind of back off a little bit is Bruma. He seems to be doing a bit of fuel saving at the moment. He's really tentative on the throttle, and he's lost quite a lot of time to the guys up ahead of him. But again, Gus, he was about 1.5 seconds behind Nicky. Now he's back up to 2 seconds. So he's really struggling on the straights, but now with a really good run out of turn 14, he's actually gained a couple of tenths on Nicky. I don't think we're too far away from some fighting, but Gus now beginning to use up the ERS, and he is beginning to close on Nicky. So I don't think we're too far adrift from a nice little skirmish between the two.
Well, let's hope for it. I thought a Salty Bear was perhaps going to have one with Jamie Met, but he's completely ruined it now. He's now 2.4 seconds behind him, so he's probably going to just tuck in to 9th place then towards the end. He's quite far away from VSMT Storm. Who is that him who's crashed, or is that Kingen who's crashed? It's Kingen who's crashed.
Nicky's left.
Oh, wait, Nicky's left. Oh no.
He's left.
Oh no. This is just not good at all for Nicky. We thought we were going to have a nice battle at the end of the race, a really competitive one for the race win. And well, this is just not what we like to see. Nicky's joined back in, so that was a little bit of a panic really there from Nicky. I don't know if that's his race over now, because I'm not sure if that rule does put him out. But for Gus, this is brilliant news, as he's going to take the lead of this race. And now he's got 4 laps to get 3 seconds clear of Nicky. But oh my word, how disappointing is that one? Nicky, who unfortunately may just be out of this race then, unfortunately. 2 seconds behind already, and still a long way to go. Again, I'm not sure if he can get back in his car. I don't believe he can. And, well, it looks like Gus is going to win in probably the most unfortunate of circumstances for Nicky. He's been wanting this race win for a while. I believe last season you are allowed to rejoin, so thank Christ for that, I guess, with him. But, I mean, annoyingly, I think it's a little too late now to really save it, because it's just going down. So it's going up and up and up that delta, and there we go, and Apex Rogue leaves the session. He's already retired, but now it's the chase for 3rd place, but he's left again, Nicky has. So I don't think Nicky can get in, and this is just so unfortunate for the Ferrari driver. And well, like I was just going to say, and like I'm going to say now, I think I've said this to Nicky, or I've seen something from Nicky. He's been wanting to win since last season. The only thing he wanted last season was to win a race. He didn't want anything else. Like, he knew the championship was over last season quite early on, but from Everhanen, of course. But he finished 2nd in that championship. But all he wanted was a race win, and I'm pretty sure it would be the same interpretation right now with Gus dominating the season. And well, really unfortunate for Nicky. Really unfortunate. And well, he could even be losing 2nd place here to Bruma, who's going to be just closing in. And Nicky's got back in, so we will get a battle on our hands, but maybe just not the battle that we would have wanted to see.
Yeah, and that leaves Gus pretty much uncontested for the rest of the race, but at least we're going to have some form of action here between Bruma and Nicky. Bruma has a lot more ERS, the AI car of Nicky, and Bruma's got another 3-second time penalty cutting across the track, so that could potentially throw his race out the window. Could also leave him a little bit vulnerable to Cloudy Bloom. None of the Delta times are showing up right now. That is probably due to Nicky rejoining and everything basically rebooting. But a bad exit from the McLaren man is not going to allow for him to catch up to Nicky using the last of his ERS that he's actually got available to him. Bruma's going to have to stick in third and stay behind him for a little while.
Yeah, and he'll like to close in and perhaps get by soon, but, well, Nicky, say no more, really. Say no more. 4.4 seconds behind the race lead to take his maiden victory in One Hub Racing. We always love to celebrate here a new victory for a driver, a first-time victory for a driver. And, well, we haven't been able to do it this season so far, since Aaron JS, of course, has taken wins before, and of course, well, we saw Gus, of course, at the start of the season, but since then, obviously, we can't really say no more. But really, we haven't seen any sort of jubilation moments, and I think for Nicky, this one was just so deserved for him. He ran a really good race, and yes, he got a bit fortunate in the pit lane with what happened to Gus. However, after that, he just stuck it out and he played it really well. He should have won this race, but unfortunately, you know, you cannot fight the servers, really, and sometimes the servers let you down considerably a lot, and I'm sure Nicky will be really, really feeling this one.
Well, it happened to me before in another league. I was leading the race, and then I disconnected out of nowhere, and I definitely hurt my hand banging my steering wheel, and I believe Nicky would definitely be feeling the same. I know his pain at the moment, and he's been completely robbed of it today, but there's nothing he can do about it, and we're not going to take the win away from Gus. It is still well deserved. He has definitely driven well. He's just got one more lap to get around here at the Montreal street circuit. He's got all of his ERS. He's just going to cruise home for a nice easy victory that we could have seen a fight for, but it is unfortunate.
Yeah, well, we have seen victories that have been impressively won, victories that have been won maybe in not the fashion, but I mean, for Nicky, this is terrible, because we could have seen a new race winner, and, well, we decided not to see a new race winner, unfortunately. And it looks like Gus, though, like you said, he's had a brilliant race, and of course a brilliant season, and he's only a couple of corners away from wrapping it up like a present, really, because let's not forget, this is now basically his victory lap to winning the championship. Of course, 2 more corners to go. It just needs to get through those corners, and it's the championship sealed, bagged and done, and then it's all focused on the constructors for where it's between Mercedes and Alfa Romeo mainly. But Gus Fring, 2 more corners to navigate till he gets across the line and to take his first World Championship here in the prospect here. He's slowing down. Hold on a minute. He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel in this race, and Nicky is going to take the win then. Oh my goodness. What has just happened? Did he actually run out of fuel there?
I'm speechless.
Wait a minute. I don't know what's just happened. Has he just run out of fuel on the final lap of this race, or has he just slowed down to let Nicky pass? I do not know.
Well, if he's run out of fuel, horrid luck for Gus there. But if it was intentional and he did let Nicky through, top sportsman there. He could have won the championship tonight, and if he's let Nicky through after he disconnected, then that is some top sportsmanship there. Great respect from him, because Nicky did deserve that win. But if he's run out of fuel, heartbreak for him.
Well, yeah, and well, we've made some big commentators' curses, and I think this one, what I was saying and everything, he's got 2 more corners to navigate, and if he has ran out of fuel there, I think that's got to be one of the biggest commentators' curses I think any commentator has done in his life. He's not only lost the race win, if it is down to fuel, but he's given someone their first race win, and probably well deserved as well, because after the crossover point, he done really, really well. So, obviously, big congratulations to Nicky, who wins his first Grand Prix in One Up Racing, and whether it was doing going out of fuel. And Jess has now confirmed, really, he actually had a lot of fuel left, but he's just let Nicky through. So fair play to Gus there. Brilliant sportsmanship from Gus, and I mean, I can't say no more. Nicky, well deserved race win, and Gus obviously wanted to take it to another round, and he could have easily just crossed the line, done the championship, but nope. He's like, I've won enough this season. Let's have another race winner. Let's celebrate, and I guess we get to celebrate a new race winner in One Hub Racing. Nicky is your race winner, and well, maybe down to a bit of fortune in the pit stops, but still, Nicky will not let this one go. His first race win in One Hub Racing. It took time, but he will definitely enjoy the champagne tonight.
Yeah, now in regards to the championship hunt, I believe that is one point that Gus needs in the next race, and then he's wrapped it up. 75 points, if I'm not mistaken, is the gap, so Aaron JS will need to win the rest of the races and Gus not to be in the points if he wants to win the championship, but he's got one hand on that One Hub trophy, does Gus, and he can wrap it up next week. But for now, we do have to give it to Nicky. He's finally won a One Hub race after having so many podiums last season. He finally got what he deserved. He wins the Grand Prix today. Well done to him.
Yeah, and quickly, just a rundown of the grid then. I just need to show this very quickly there. So there are the people outside the top 10 and your top 10. Nicky wins this race, Gus in second, and Bruma wraps up the top 3 then. That is your podium for this week. But before we go, Daniel, there's one more thing we need to do, and that is to pick our drivers of the day. I'm going to start with you. Who are you going for?
Well, it's a toss-up between Nicky and Gus, actually, for me. Whichever one you pick, I'll pick the opposite. So it might not be either of them. So you know what? I'm going to make the call. I will say Nicky, because he finally got that elusive win that has been taunting him for so long. So my question to him is, when you saw Gus slowing down, did you think that he'd run out of fuel? Do you think that he was letting you by? And also, what was going through your mind when you won that One Hub race finally in One Hub?
Okay, well, and obviously my driver today. It has to go to Gus. There's no real other name that stands out but these two today. And really, for Gus, I think my question for him really has got to be, was it ever, when you saw Nicky disconnect from the session, was it ever in doubt that you were going to let him back through on fair play purposes, or do you reckon that perhaps you just wanted to take the title? Obviously, you made the decision to do the early one, but that is my question for Gus. So there are our questions for the week, and well, we've only got a few more rounds to go. Obviously, 3 more rounds to go, and we still obviously do have a championship to decide. Actually, still with a few rounds to go, we'll be at the Australian Grand Prix, which isn't exactly the greatest of tracks really to decide the championship, but I tell you what, we'll definitely enjoy it. But Gus, of course, not winning tonight, but losing another victory, but he done it in fair play purposes. It's the first win of the season and first win in his One Hub career for Nicky, who finished second in the championship last year to Eva Hannon, but obviously had to have that big wait to get his first win. It didn't happen last season, but it's happened this season. Nicky is your is your race winner in One Hub Racing, and Gus Fring, he now just needs a point to take the championship. Now, come back to us next week in the Prospect Tier, where we will be, of course, again at the Australian Grand Prix, and we'll see you again next time.